Welcome back to TarHeelIllustrated.com. And if you're watching on our YouTube channel, Tar Heel Illustrated, I'm THI staff writer Jacob Turner, and joining me from the Rocket Mortgage Arena in Cleveland, Ohio, our very own publisher, Andrew Jones. And Andrew, you just saw Carolina come out on top over Kentucky, 75-63 in the CBS Sports Classic. AJ, first thing I want to talk about in terms of that game, I think we need to touch on Caleb Love. I know Roy got a lot of questions about Caleb Love after the game as well, but a little bit better performance from him. 11 points, 6 assists, just 2 turnovers, struggled to shoot the ball from 3 again, 0 for 5 from the three-point line. But after kind of a slow start in the first half, also had that play on that screen where he hit his head on, I believe it was Sarr's shoulder, came back and played pretty well in the second half. And overall, it seems like Caleb Love is, kind of starting to take those steps and looking a little bit more comfortable in his role as a guard at North Carolina.
Well, he had to take the step at some point, and I think that I would disregard the 4 for 14 and 0 for 5 today because the shooting's going to come at some point. The shooting wasn't going to come until everything else did.
Yeah.
And he played a good 4-game tonight. He took one bad shot in the first, about midway through the first half, real early in the offensive possession. And the only reason I say it was a bad shot is I think they could have worked. They had been having a little success going down low, so maybe they could have worked it down and gotten something down low with Armando or Garrison instead of a 14-footer from Caleb. But otherwise, I thought his 4 game was good. Defensively, he had 2 effort plays where he was on the floor in the first 6 minutes of the game. So he did better defensively. I thought he had better vision. He ran the team better. Roy didn't, because Davis got hurt, but even before Davis got hurt, Roy didn't pull him off the ball, had him on the ball the whole time. How about no turnovers in the first half? Just the second half this season, he hasn't committed a turnover. 6 assists, 2 turnovers, and one of those turnovers came inside the last minute, and it was an offensive foul 40 feet from the basket, which I think is a very questionable call. So really, 1 ball handling turnover today from Caleb Love, 6 assists, 11 points against Kentucky, and that was one of the reasons this team won. Look, coming into this game, I wrote a piece earlier about Caleb, about the team, what they need to see. I think all Carolina fans or anybody that covers this team understands that in order for this team to take big steps forward, Caleb Love is going to have to find himself at some point. It's just 1 game, and it was a struggling Kentucky team. But I think he began that process today. And really, it was beforehand because, like I talked about with the football team, when you go down to Tallahassee, you go up to Charlottesville, and you lose, you learn a lot of stuff, and you find yourself through that process. Caleb had to go through perhaps what he went through the first 6 games to get to where he was today. And he was a pretty good player today, and he's going to be a better player moving forward. But you can't get to step 3 and 4 without hitting step 2. And I think today was step 2.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it was ignore. Like I said, I agree. Ignore kind of the shooting statistics from Caleb. I think it was a lot better performance. Like
it's going to come. Roy even said after the game, look, guys, I believe he's going to be a real good shooter for us when it's all said and done with. And I have no reason to doubt that. I mean, it's not like it looks awkward. It's not like a guy's missing shots and he looks like he should be missing shots. He's missing shots and looks like he should be making them. They're going to fall eventually. And when they do, they're going to fall in bunches.
Exactly. And credit to him for continuing to shoot, because a lot of freshman guys, when their balls into the basket.
One more thing. That's a good point, Jacob. This was maturation.
Yeah, exactly.
Game 7, he matured today. He showed maturation from the week as well.
Exactly. And this team's going to be so much better when he can, if and when he can really shoot at a high clip consistently. AJ, second thing I want to touch on, at 12-point push in the second half, sparked by Kerwin Walton. I know Puff Johnson also had a basket in there as well, but Kerwin Walton coming off the bench. Roy Williams in his post-game press conference, I think he said it before as well. He said Kerwin Walton's the best shooter on the team. He just hasn't shown it in the games yet. I think we started to see it today. And if they can get a guy like Kerwin Walton to do things like that off the bench, this team's just so much better.
It was a sequence in the first half where Kerwin just had a real bad 30 seconds, and Roy got up, pointed to Andrews, get in the game, took Kerwin out, and he didn't come in again until I think Andrew may have picked up his 3rd foul or something. That's what got Kerwin in the game during that stretch. And he hit those 2 big threes. He hit 2 free throws as well. It was 48-42 Kentucky. And Carolina then went on a 12-1 run, and Kerwin had 8 of those points. Puff Johnson had 2 of them on a nice little floater that his brother would be very proud of.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And Kerwin, after the second 3, there was a whistle, I don't know, 15 seconds later, something like that. And when the Tar Heels were going to the bench, the whole bench erupted and jogged down the floor and greeted Kerwin. And that's a really important moment when you have one of the freshmen people don't talk about very often who stepped up and played a big role during what I think was the most important stretch of the game. And his teammates embraced him. The old guys and the young guys embraced him. It showed me where the collective mindset of this group is. And for Kerwin, he dug it big time because I asked him after the game about that, and he had a big smile on his face. You know, there are snippets that happen along the way when kids feel more a part of things. Mm-hmm. And that was definitely the performance from him today, in which he'll feel that. And it wasn't just on the offensive end, Jacob. No. I actually asked Kerwin about the first question I asked him. I didn't ask about the threes because during that sequence, he grabbed a loose ball on the other end that led to a UNC possession, and he drew a foul and a physical, tough guarded play. So he was doing it on both ends of the court. Again, these kids, freshmen, have their own DNA. They got to come along at their own pace. And for Kerwin and Puff to contribute to a win over Kentucky on a neutral site on a day when Caleb Love took some steps forward and RJ got hurt, they had to deal with some in-game adversity. Those are all extremely positive signs for this team.
Exactly, AJ. Last thing I want to touch on, that was a good segue for it. You know, Carolina won a gritty game. It wasn't a game in which Kentucky played particularly well. It wasn't a game in which Carolina played particularly well. You also mentioned, like you said, RJ Davis going out injured. You know, overall, Carolina had a lot of adversity in this game, didn't play particularly well, but still found a way to end up winning by 12 points. So I think that's overall a really big positive for this Carolina team.
Well, I didn't think they would get out rebounded, and they did.
Yeah. Me either.
They got it rebounded by 4, but they were still really gritty, especially in the second half. This was a war down there. There were no fans in the building.
I know.
I could hear. I heard about a third of what John Calipari had to say, and a lot of wasn't very positive.
I can only imagine.
He tore into Lance Ware one time that made my eyebrows singe.
You're like,
but you know, Kentucky fouled a lot because Carolina drew the fouls. Carolina lured them into the physical play, and the Tar Heels were stronger. Armando Bacot said after the game, "We're not going to get punked by anybody," and he said that afterward, but he foreshadowed it with his play on the court during the game.
Exactly.
He was very physical, but he was also some finesse. The Tar Heels have more finesse than Kentucky, and they showed they were more physical, and they were able to combine snippets of finesse with a lot of grit and physicality, and that might end up being the recipe for this team to win games, especially as they continue to see the guards, the young kids slowly move along. You know, in February, maybe they're hitting shots all over the place and they can win with finesse. Right now, they got to win with the grit and flash some bouts of finesse in there, which they did with Kerwin's threes. Andrew had a huge 3 late in the game.
Yeah.
And Caleb was taking the ball to the basket. I don't mean to go back and talk about him again, but I'm just talking about the team as a whole, where he was using some finesse to get in there, but he was also kind of dealing with some contact when he got in there.
Oh, yeah.
So he was okay with it. He looked a little bit in that respect like he did in the College of Charleston game when we both talked about after the games that he and RJ are fearless. Caleb was a lot more fearless tonight. The team was more fearless tonight. That's a strength. Grit and toughness, that's an attribute. Yep. When you start listing all the things that this team has going for it, put that on the list as well. They showed that today. And look, this is the 5th time that in 7 games they've been down 11 in the first half. They've come back to catch the tie or take the lead in all 5 of those occasions. So there's some fiber with this team. So eventually the skill, the finesse, the smarts is going to catch up with the fiber, and they're going to kind of meet at the same point. And when they do, especially in a down ACC, there are a lot of wins to be had for this team. But that stuff has to happen. I think it will, but it still has to happen, and it's a process. And it's going to take some more time. They got a tough one Tuesday night at NC State. I guess for Carolina, for these young kids, it's be really interesting to see how they would handle a frenzied atmosphere there. And that would be another test, but it's still going to be enough of a test as it is. So this is a good win for Carolina. 5-2 now. They beat a blue blood that they were 0-2 against in this event. They had that overtime loss at Vegas a couple years ago, one of the best regular season games I've ever covered. And then 2 years ago in Chicago, which was when the light went on for Kobe White. Maybe the light went on for Caleb Love here tonight. Maybe they should keep playing Kentucky in the CBS Sports Classic when they have freshman point guards.
Yeah, you're not lying about that, AJ. Yeah, 75-63 win over Kentucky tonight for the Tar Heels. Good win on the road. Well, at the neutral side, I should say. I guess it was technically on the road. Ahead of ACC play, which starts, like AJ mentioned, on Tuesday at NC State, which we'll be at. So, all right, AJ, I'm going to let you run, man. I know you got plenty of work to do. Thanks for joining me, man. As always, guys, Be sure to like it. Be sure to share it. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks.